Absolute Bedlam. Absolute Bedlam. Absolute Bedlam. Talking about topics and stuff. Absolute Bedlam. Absolute Bedlam. Absolute Bedlam podcast. Who? What? Where? Why?
I remember when I started the drinks and someone said, well, what are you going to make? I said, don't know. I said, how are you going to make it? I said, don't know. Where are you going to sell it? Don't know. But I know I'm going to make it. What people see in their shops, isn't choice. It's one or two companies, that's it. And they just pay thousands and thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds to be the only brands on the shelves. I'm not made with enough. You can't have my childhood and have enough. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
But probably when goat is available everywhere, wherever you are, when it's more than the drink, when it's a brand that everyone knows. We've both taken huge risks with this, but with other businesses as well. And we've always had that. Fundamentally, our relationship and our family and our well-being comes first.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Absolute Bedlam podcast. Tonight I've decided to get my sponsors on. I probably booked them in, 5-6 months ago. Yeah. And we've got Colette and Andy from Goat Drinks. So how on earth are you both?
I'm very well, thank you. I'll go first.
He's very well. I'm great. Always great.
Good stuff.
How are you doing today, Ben?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm feeling good. Yeah, life's all right. It's just busy, isn't it? Life.
Yeah, that's a fair summary.
Yeah.
It's definitely busy.
Time is always going to pass and you just need to occupy it with as much stuff as possible that you enjoy.
I read something recently that said when you're young, time is content, and as you get older, time is currency.
Nice. Dropping some metaphorical bangers already. I love it.
Plenty of that.
A little bit of philosophy.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again.
A little bit of philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. Awesome. So I always start these episodes with the same couple of questions, and then we kind of go off into what makes you tick, and then we go a bit mental and start talking about taking the bins out. So first things first, how individually for you both, how was school life? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Did you put up with it? How did you get on?
I'll go first because I've been asked that already today, which I've not even thought about it. But I thought they were talking about the kids, but they're actually asking me. My school life was all right. Actually, it was a bit easy going. I was reasonably bright, but not too clever. Didn't get bullied, and was all right at football. So I kind of fitted in reasonably well and breezed through it, really. I was a bit of a I fancied myself, yeah. I tried to form a queue,
Weren't you all like Pringle jumpers and Delta?
I was a little bit. I had hair and style and pastel colours.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think if you can do well in football, you can do quite well in school because you've got that sort of socialness and potential. It's the popular kids do the football, don't they? Do you know what I mean? The sporty kids
I had
seem
that
to get.
for a little while. I grew out of it, but school was good for me. I enjoyed it.
What about you, Colette?
Less good.
Yeah.
Less good, the end. I had a very disrupted childhood, including the death of a parent. Mm-hmm. And I lived between two different parts of the country, quite remote parts of the country, so Essex and Yorkshire. And I'm quite neurodiverse and I'm quite different. So I think even if I'd had a normal childhood, that would have been an issue. But I was always in the wrong bit of the country with the wrong accent, in the wrong socio-demographic, not knowing the rules. That pretty much describes my childhood. I sort of didn't know what it was I was supposed to be playing by. I was too clever, so therefore I stood out too much. And like I said, I had a very difficult kind of home life, which didn't help. So it was a very difficult time, and I was extremely glad when I left. That said, I do love education. So I love academia. I am very academic. I've been at uni a lot. I'm at uni again now. Love a certificate. Love all of that. I just hated it. Really hated it.
So you liked learning, but you didn't like the mixing pot of chaos that surrounded the time when you left the classroom?
Partly. A lot of it was just that I think school needs you to conform. So other kids need to conform. The teachers need you to conform. It was a long time ago as well. It might be different now. But I simply couldn't, because when I was in the north, I was living in a more of a working class socioeconomic environment. When I was in the south, I was in a more upper middle class environment, and the whole thing was just different. It was before the national curriculum as well, so that the actual curriculums were different. And my home life was really dysfunctional. So when all the other kids are going on a ski trip and you're wondering if you might spend the weekend with a foster family, that's a difficult thing to have,
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's always a quite divisive question, that one.
Yeah, less football. Although interestingly, I went back as an adult for something after my father died a few years ago, and I heard a lot of people say how they really envied me because I was like the biker chick and different, and and apparently that was quite aspirational, but it didn't feel it from my side.
Yeah, I think at the time being an outsider's weird, and like you say, not conforming is weird, but in hindsight, you might have had just a different set of beliefs, and you just had wanted to do it differently, and you just had a set of core values that didn't align with everyone else's.
Yeah. Much. And that kind of just doing it differently and seeing it differently and being really bright and getting things really quickly and things like that. It just doesn't always make you the most popular person in the room.
Yeah, definitely. So on the back of that, what's the naughtiest thing you can remember doing at school, or a colleague, schoolmate, or sort of what's the craziest thing that you can remember from that turbulent time?
He looks scared.
Yeah. I remember
really cool.
I thought, well, do I actually say it?
Your mum might find out.
And my mum might find out. I got sent home for being astonishingly drunk and for making booze in chemistry and giving it to everybody.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was kind of Ribena vodka bitter homemade thing.
Moonshine.
It was very functional.
Yeah. Jesus. Fair enough. You just needed the tools. Fair enough.
I needed a filter. You had to drink it through gritted teeth.
Love it.
But it was
entrepreneurial.
It was entrepreneurial.
Yeah. What about you, Colette?
More attractive than a Delta wave.
It was very attractive. It made people take their clothes off.
Nice.
Your turn.
I did a lot of things that aren't worth talking about, to be honest. But the thing that I did that was possibly the most surprising while I was still at school is I married a biker who was 10 years older than me.
Yeah.
That's always comes as a shock to people. Yeah, I know. I mean, actually married, like in a wedding dress, got married whilst still at school.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
Fair enough.
For several years, it didn't disintegrate that quickly.
Yeah.
Not as quickly as you might have thought. So yeah, that's probably the most outlandish thing I did, but not the naughtiest by a long shot.
Fair enough. There's a question I've got written down here, which I don't think I've actually sent over to you, but there was an episode of We Recover Loudly that I listened to with Colette on. I need to get the host of that show on at some point. I just haven't been able to lock in a date and get the schedules aligned. But there was something... Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Shell. There was something quite profound that you said in the episode, and I kind of just want to reiterate it, which was you, Colette, look at things from a kind of macro perspective quite a lot, I think. And you asked the question of who stands to gain from stuff like Go Energy and Myth Drinks. And, when you see these surges of popularity towards stuff that's like gluten-free or vegan, or people doing veganuary and all that sort of stuff, you always look at it from a sort of perspective of who actually gains the most out of this movement. Where do you think that mindset and that thinking comes from? Is it from a young age?
Yeah, I've always known, I've always questioned. And some of it is, as a child, you have a sort of universality. You think that how you grow up is how everyone grows up, and that you're the centre of the world. And because I was in and out of different homes and different systems, and everything from people have their breakfast differently in the morning, or you soon learn that rules are not absolutes. They're not framework. They're made by someone. Someone has done that. So that was part of it. Also, my father, the times I lived with him, he was an astonishingly unusual human being. And he was an academic conspiracy theorist. So he taught me from a really young age, if you're not buying, you're the product. Just that simple. And if someone's selling, they're selling because they need to sell, not because you need to buy. Always ask. Just always check, why. So, for example, I would always ask. I was in the supermarket the other day, and there was this like big wine glass, like the size of a fishbowl, and it said on the front, "Mummy's Prosecco." Why? Why did it say that?
Yeah.
Why did it say that? What we say about veganuary, Why? We say about gluten-free. Now, one of our daughters is celiac, so I know exactly why she has gluten-free products. Why does everyone else? And it's fine if you know the answer. If you start talking about Monsanto and how grains have been changed to manage the weed killers and all of that, and you can have that conversation rationally and say, well, actually, this is what I think, so this is why. But why en masse? Why all of a sudden? Or just this is that question. Why?
Yeah.
Why did we suddenly get meat-free burgers when it was almost impossible to get one, and then you've got 20 different brands within
Why?
the whole supermarket?
And there can be a real answer, and it can be in your interest, and it can, but it's just always that question. It's just all of a sudden, I know how hard it is to get products to shelves. Now, I was vegan for years and years and years when nobody knew what veganism was. So why all of a sudden?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an important question to ask, even from like a Simon Sinek perspective of start with why. And yeah, I think it's an important thing that a lot of people are afraid to ask. And that's why I kind of wanted to highlight it.
My first degree is in philosophy, so that's why. But it probably came from my dad. My dad just always said, my dad said to me, if someone says to you can't do something, they're telling you what they can't do. They can't possibly know what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when someone says to you have this, ask why. When someone says to you don't have this, ask why.
Second question I've got written down.
I hardly ever ask why. I just do whatever. I'm a bit of a sheep. I'll just.
Yeah.
I'm more sheep than goat.
You are more sheep than goat, to be fair.
Andy's a how, Colette's a why. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the house of happiness? I keep seeing it on Instagram, and I wanted to get it from you guys. Okay. Fair enough.
No, you answer. What's the house of
So the House of Happiness is one of a series of sober rave events. It's more of a brand than an individual event. It's organised by 3 or 4 people, and they've got
organised by 3 people: Ian, Janie, and the Baroness. You'll get yourself shot.
Neil,
sorry, Janie.
Oh, you're going to get myself
shot. Neil, Janie, and the Baroness. DJs and kind of events, sober people who wanted a great sober event wasn't available, so they put it on. And right from the very first one, they came to me to ask me if they could have goat because they liked the branding, they liked the fact it was female founded. We've all become friends. So when Andy ran the marathon last year, they were there.
I found the place, absolutely.
They were, and they're just great people. Doing a really cool. It's quite carnival. So if you go there, it's quite a carnival feeling, and everyone should go at least once.
Yeah, and it's a bit like going to a club, but during the afternoon or early evening. So you get the same thing, the same feeling when you're inside. Full on DJs, pitch dark. Come outside and it's sunny and it's daylight, and it's just everybody looks at like where have you been? You're on the tube with glitter on your head, and they're on their way out, and you're on your way home.
Yeah, it's amazing, and they're fantastic people. They're just, I mean, I know Janie and Neil the best, and everybody would want those people in their friends book, I think.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
we go. We'll do a couple of shout outs later, but I thought that was worth clarifying and potentially promoting by proxy. So yeah, awesome.
And also Neil from Rock a Pair of Hot Pants and Glittery Angel Wings.
Yeah,
just saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go. So I did something a bit silly on Friday. I decided that this would be a good idea to do on the podcast. So full disclosure, I've drunk a Easy Goat watermelon already. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cans of goat from Friday. And I don't discriminate. All goats are equal.
All goats are equal.
Got funky goat as well.
Yeah.
And this isn't just me. This is just, I'm a bit addicted. This isn't an intervention. But I like the fact that the watermelon goat, which I'm about to crack open another one, is kid-friendly.
Yes.
And I like the fact that each goat has a specific vibe and a specific function. And I just wanted to show you guys that when you send me goat, it doesn't just get stuck in a loft. It gets drunk quite quickly. And I love it.
What's your favourite one?
I do like the original / horny from the beginning. I like the cherry because it gives you a bit of a buzz, because it's kind of, I think my girlfriend described this, it's got a bit of a Panda Pop taste to it. And that was quite nostalgic to just taste. And I was like, bloody hell, this is familiar, but not too familiar that it's a complete sort of rip-off. I'm really enjoying the watermelon one at the moment, which is the new one, which everyone can go check out, of course. I really like the feel of this one. There's something about the steel sort of smoothness of it.
Oh,
but yeah.
It's the new label.
It's the new labels, isn't it? I'm just reaching for one.
So the Funky's got the same label finish now as well.
Yeah. The new Funky we've just done. Yeah.
And I do like the mango one as well, of course. Don't want to discriminate, like I said earlier. I just don't have any on hand. So,
have you seen that all the different as well when you look at their faces? They're all slightly different.
Different characters.
Yeah. I was talking about my branding today. My friend Gemma does all my branding, and we were talking about that, about how all of them are different, and all the different groups have got different ones, and I don't know, they're always almost like you can name them. I often think that the one on the mango can looks a bit like he might have studied philosophy. Possibly be French or something, you know?
Yeah. Just on the mango one specifically, I don't think I've asked you this before, but what does BCAA mean?
You want to go?
Yeah, it means branched chain amino acid. So it's a type of protein derivative, and there's 3 different compounds to it, and it's designed to help with repair of muscles after exercise. It's a type of amino acid.
Yeah, I've also felt quite privileged to sort of get in on the ground floor with this, because I've seen it develop in front of my face over the last sort of year that we've been involved with each other, I suppose. And, you know, when I first spoke to you, you had 1 flavour. Now you've got 4. So that's like 1 every 3 months. And it's a privilege to be involved. I keep thinking about this. I can't remember how I came across you, but I was looking for an energy drink, because podcasts are quite kind of energy, supplements, mattresses. There's quite a lot of stereotypes with podcast sponsors and what's deemed as acceptable. But you've made it really
back of insomnia, like at the start.
Gamers.
Yeah.
And I think one thing that's really valuable actually is that having been I'm a right fiddler, so let's like keep your hands still.
Sorry.
You can't see them under the table. So it's really I think it's really positive actually that we've been interacting throughout this time, because it does make you realise how the brand's evolved and the products have evolved, because you do just kind of get on a process and people ask things and you move it forward, but without a reference point, you don't always realize how quickly that's happening and how much it's evolving in a short space of time.
Put shorter, I think sometimes it feels really shit, and then suddenly you get someone like you going, we've been with you from the start, you're doing awesome, and we're like, oh yeah, we are. Look how this is growing.
And what's coming next?
Yeah, so thank you. And we're about to do some new stuff. So
Hell yeah.
Coming out soon.
Something that really set me apart as well was we had quite an early meeting. And I remember you saying, I've got a second flavour in the pipeline, but I'm actually not happy with the flavour of Funky Goat.
Yeah.
So I've pulled it and I was like, okay, so these guys aren't just trying to create and push and force and treadmill, you know, because it can be very easy, I imagine, companies, you know, like potentially Rubicon and people that I'm not going to stop going off on one, but they can pivot quite quickly and they can, you know, they're massive Goliath companies and they can kind of produce crap and no one really.
They can afford the loss. I mean, it was quite financially impactful when I said, you know, we've got 4 pallets of this drink, which is thousands of pounds. And I said, I'm not prepared to do that. I'm just not prepared to put it out there.
Yeah.
To go, because the flavour just wasn't right. And the formulation wasn't right. In fact, we've still got it sitting in the...
And I'm an accountant and I'm going, are you sure we can't just get people to try it and see? No. And it's not going out. So then it wasn't just like a bit of a flavour change. I actually reformulated, I changed the ingredients. And then we made it at really quite substantial cost. But it was the right thing to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it has to matter. That's the thing, it has to matter.
Yeah, if the drink's representing a certain demographic of people, then it needs to be the best version of that representation if you want to get super, you know, meta and super deep into, you know, a can of energy drink. But, you know, you guys do crazy NEC arena weekenders and, you know, the amount of people that must pass through and, you know, it means a lot when one person grabs onto your brand and grabs onto your belief and your dream, and you want it to be the best sort of first interaction possible, really, don't you?
And it means more than you can know, to be honest, because doing anything like this is quite frankly terrifying.
Yeah.
And really unknown and destabilizing and lots of other things. And it does matter, and it matters to me. And fundamentally, obviously, Andy helps me run the business and everything, but the company belongs solely to me. So it's my name on it. And if someone came up to me and said, you know, is this the best this could be? I want to say yes. And I want to be able to tell you why it is that and what's in it and why I've done it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. That's people don't like everything. But I know it's the best version I've put out. And that's really important to me with everything I do. Yeah,
completely. So we're going to wrap up part 1 in about sort of 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm quite conscious of the questions I ask. What does your average week look like as a power couple, always doing something? Be it Go Energy, be it Myth, be in your your professions, your actual jobs, or just going on holiday. What does that look like? Who packs a suitcase?
We're supposed to be on holiday tomorrow, but we're not going because we can afford it and we haven't got time.
Which isn't an issue.
Which isn't an issue, and I'm not at all cross about it. Well, Andy runs an international business. What does that look like?
It's varied. I'm a consultant and I'm a diplomatic one at the best of times. So every week is different.
Yeah.
I guess what's continual is the amount of work and the desire to do it right, which means you need to do more of it and more of it and more of it. And that doesn't seem to let up. You know, we could easily do things differently. We could do less things, but it doesn't seem like the right trajectory. And it doesn't seem the way we're
Willy
motivated.
today. Andy's an accountant, so that's what he does. You do numbers and spreadsheets and financial architecture, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Thank you,
Yeah,
Helen.
in and out of banks.
For anybody that wasn't bored by my answer, you've really finished them.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah,
No.
spreadsheets. Yeah. If I ever have insomnia, Andy just
Yeah.
tells me what to day.
Yeah. So how's your day? Oh,
I am a
Nice.
psychotherapist, so I have my own clinic, which is just over the road from where I live, and I see people face to face, one to one, in person. Work with everything from addiction to suicide to abuse, anything really. I've also got an online clinic, and I have a media presence with 2 other women, the doctor, the therapist, and the coach. It's like an events and information business. And I have a housing portfolio. And I have, what else do I do, darling?
I don't know. 2 drinks businesses.
2 drinks businesses, and I've currently just gone back to uni as well. So that's what my week looks like.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a job and a son and a podcast, and I'm exhausted, Colette.
Yeah, we have 4 children, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have children, we have dogs. To be honest,
And cats.
our days are like anybody else's. It's like,
Yeah.
have your culture on, there's nothing for dinner, whose hockey stick's missing, don't tread on the cat, don't forget to send that order over to New York, aren't we supposed to be flying to Toronto? You know, so bits of it are the same as everyone. It's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the gutter's leaking.
Yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
it's leaking.
No, it's not.
Genuine bit.
Kind of feedback that we get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it works 21-hour day, but the gutter's leaking and you're talking.
Yeah. And why
Yeah.
is it always raining?
And why is it always raining? Indeed.
I think we need to do a calm goat. We need to do a strawberry flavour or something, and it's just sit with yourself.
Goat was driven by the fact that there were too many things around here.
Yeah. So it was really, I made it as a gender response, because everything that was aimed at me and my demographic was like, do calm down, have some chamomile, have some lavender, try some yoga, have a warm bath. There wasn't anything aimed for energy and passion and power. So that's really what drove me to make it in the first place.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Next question before we go to part 2 is from idea of flavour, name, artwork, actual, design of can to me having a easy goat in my hand. How long does that take? How long would you like it to take? And
I can tell you empirically, from idea that's not just a wacky one, but a credible one.
You said I've got ideas.
No, because there's lots of ideas that they don't all fly, do they?
Did you hear that?
like recorded. Yeah.
It's about a 5-month lead time, a month or 2 of registering the names and all that kind of stuff. Actually developing the drinks and the profiles takes about 3.5 months, and then you've got about an 8-week lead time on production to do a trial run.
And then assuming the trial's okay, which I refer you to the Funky Goat where it wasn't, then we can then go on to do a full commercial run. About 5 months into end.
How long does it take for you to recover mentally and then move on to the next challenge?
We're already on to the next. So we'll be 3 months one, and then we'll start on the next thing. So as one.
We're already overlapping on the end of production of Easy with the development of the next product.
Yes, we've got a new product coming into the Myth. In fact, we've got a new product coming into Myth, and we've got an entire new product line coming into Goat that we're already on with.
Because it's also not necessarily what happens in your house and in your factory, but it's also logistics. Like Andy, we spoke recently about the change of supplier and the change of logistics, and it's everything outside of that control, isn't it? It's similar to being in a band or running a podcast. It's everything else that's not within the sphere of your doing.
Yeah, I guess when you're effectively trying to to manage and oversee a process. You can't control everything. You've got to try and mitigate the risks as much as you possibly can and ensure that the end-to-end process works. But at the end of the day, you're dependent on so many things that are out of your control. You can't possibly control everything. All you can do is have a way of dealing with things when they come up and trying to do things in a way that's well organized enough.
Yeah.
And you're really good at relationships, so you always get the best out of people. I don't manage that side of that. I'm not as good at that.
I do try to kind of bank up favours for when I've forgotten something and need somebody to pull out a bag of sugar at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Or try
Yeah.
and drive down the motorway with some caffeine.
Yeah, we've done that before. Yeah. But I just don't get involved in that. I'm the creative, so
Fair enough.
I'm kind of the visionary, aren't I? I'm like, look, I know we can do this. I don't know how. Make it happen.
Yeah. And by the way, I need it to take 3 months, and I'll go 5, and you go 3, and I go 5.
Yeah.
We'll settle on 3, and then it'll take 4.
Yeah.
I think I've over delivered because it's 4.
I'm antsy because it's late.
Yeah, of course. One of the craziest things I heard from Shanty Spirit, who also sponsored the podcast, was Hugh, who I think sent you a bottle of vodka early doors, and you also sent him a pack of goat in return. He said something crazy to me, like he was doing so many events in and around Poole and Bournemouth and the UK where I'm sort of nested. And at one point they had to go to the shops that they were stocking Shanty to buy back their own vodka to sell it at an event. And that just completely blew my mind that was, you don't think of things like that, do you, when you're doing events?
We've been so many times at the NEC, and Andy's had to drive back home to completely restock because we've sold every single thing we took. And there was no way to take more. So, and you wouldn't think that, thousands and thousands of cans.
Yeah.
We live hours away.
Yeah.
So you'll do a 12-hour, 14-hour day, then drive, go back to Yorkshire, refill, drive back about 2 a.m. and up to do it again.
Yeah. And you expect that, even if it's happened before.
Mm.
And there is a really weird thing as well about seeing somebody drink your drink. So this would not exist if I hadn't thought about it. It doesn't matter how clever Andy is at logistics or accounts or business, it simply wouldn't have existed.
Yeah.
And then you're holding one.
Yeah.
And that is still really
Yeah. It's here, and it's the same flavour as the one that you've got.
Yeah.
I think there's something about, I remember the first time we saw, it was the House of Happiness actually, and we were in this club and there were empty cans on the table and in the bin.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it was behind the bar, and it was like,
I made that.
That's how I did it.
There are lots of things. For example, this cup wouldn't exist if it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
You're not. So Gemma made this for you. It simply wouldn't exist if I hadn't met you.
Yeah.
And that really messes with my head, just so you know.
Yeah, mine's at the flat. So I did plan to bring it with me, but I would have had to take it to work. And you got my back. There we go.
It's an odd feeling, though.
Fantastic.
That this wouldn't
Yeah.
exist. I've known you.
Yeah, that is weird.
I know.
Yeah, I feel a bit weird now. Right, we're going to go to part 2. I've got a couple more questions lined up. And I'm really enjoying this one. This feels like a long time coming. So,
do you need that extra burst of energy? Do you need motivation? Do you need that X factor? Well, Go Energy has you covered. Whatever gets your juices flowing. Whatever you need to let your hair down. Have a go at it all with Go Energy. Gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and no artificial additives. Goat Energy. Use code Bedlam10 at checkout.
we're back. So we're going to get a bit deep. Okay, so you two obviously work well together. you have strengths and weaknesses that obviously benefit, and you two are in a relationship as well as company, which I've always thought was a bit of a, just from a macro perspective on the outside, that don't know if I'd want my girlfriend as a co-host on the podcast. And also she's one of the shyest people you'll ever meet in your life, so she doesn't fucking want it. But I've always wondered about the dynamic of a working relationship. But I want to know strengths, things that you've done that you think you've absolutely smashed. And I also want to know what happens when you disagree on something.
Well, looking at me, I didn't think it would work working together, but I always liked the idea of it. So I've been quite surprised actually how well we have worked together. Not all the time, but generally. We are strong in different areas, and that works. I guess the thing that I'm most impressed with working with Colette is everything's possible. When I get to my limit of that's just not doable, that she'll just take it away and go, yes, it is,
Yes,
and
exactly.
make it work. And I've never worked with anybody that can do that in any industry in the last 30 years. So I wasn't expecting to find that in this business.
Very sweet, thank you. Andy
It's
is
true,
the
though.
most compassionate, kind, thoughtful, caring, diligent, and patient human being on the planet. He's diplomatic, he's fair, you're consistent, and I think the single biggest thing you bring for me is perfectly okay. If I was to say tonight, I'm done with this, stress is too much, don't want to do it anymore, you'd just go, okay. And there'd be no comeback, there'd be no, what about the last 2 years? Or there wouldn't be a question. And all through our marriage, we've always had that. We've both taken huge risks with this, but with other businesses as well. And we've always had that. Fundamentally, our relationship and our family and our well-being comes first. So, and I think it's easy to take risks when you know you can't fall. Not you know you can't, because what's the worst that can happen? Was close this and do something else. That there isn't a worse. There isn't and you're always.
Yeah, we're never going to point at each other and go, well, that's why, or this didn't work.
I'm not as kind as Andy, and I'm not diplomatic at all. But I'm not as kind as Andy, so I can be a bit snappy, like, well, why didn't you do that? You said you would, or why didn't you? I can be a bit like that. You're never like that. You've never once, ever actually. So you've got that. I've not got that, but you have got a real like ceiling to what you see as possible and what you see as your own capacity. And I just don't have that. I just think, I remember when I started the drinks and someone said, well, what are you going to make? I said, don't know. I said, how are you going to make it? I said, don't know. Where are you going to sell it? Don't know. But I know I'm going to make it. But you were just like, all right, we'll give it a go.
Yeah. But you can see things, can't you? You can see Colette can see the outcome. I could sit there and go, I'll support you, but I've got no idea why we need a sugar-free, or as I don't like sugar-free, so I wouldn't have wanted to make one. So I'm limited by my own experience, I think.
Because I see the outcome, but I don't care about the steps. I just happen. And of course, then I expect you to do all the steps that I don't even know if are possible. And you're like, well, how am I going to get past this next one? And we'll just do it because I need it done.
Yeah, this is what it's going to look like when you've finished.
Yeah, so let me know when you're done. So, I think the thing that doesn't work, that we're both really, really bad at, is we're both overworkers, massive overworkers.
Yeah.
And we are not very good at boundarying that with each other because we normalise it. It'd be like people who drink too much or eat too much or any of those things, we just normalise it in each other. So, we don't have a social life. We don't really have hobbies. We don't really sleep enough. We just work. And that's probably not normal, I think. Just saying, what would we do if we didn't go to work? What would we talk about?
I don't know.
Well, that's why we don't argue. There's no time.
Yeah,
Well, the thing is, you
Yeah.
don't end up spending 2 hours arguing about the guttering, for instance. Hypothetically,
if the guttering are broken,
just an example that people can relate to.
hypothetically, guttering on the garage, if there was to be guttering.
Oh, see, so there is actually guttering.
There is actually
It's
guttering.
not a generic guttering.
The hypothetical has become physical.
But also, we're a really close couple. So I think we haven't done this to fix a hole in our marriage. We haven't done this we genuinely do. In fact, we get on so well that when we're in hotels, people often assume that we've either only just met or we're having an affair. I can't tell you how many check-ins.
They're like, oh, same surname. Smith, is it?
I love that.
It's always been like that.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
We screwed the first ones up.
In terms of events and in terms of the glass ceiling, the ultimate place of fulfillment, and we've made it, and Goat's a global brand, Myth's a global brand. Get onto Myth in a bit, but what does that look like, and what is enough for you guys?
Nothing's enough.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, Colette.
Andy went past enough a few years ago.
Okay.
I'm not made with enough. You can't have my childhood and have enough. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
But probably when Goat is available everywhere, wherever you are, when it's more than the drink, when it's a brand that everyone knows. And I don't need to be known in Goat. It's really not about actually, it's about the brand. But as big as Red Bull, big as Google, I think.
Yeah, you've just upped it.
Why not? Well, you said it went enough. I just wondering what comes after Google, but I think it's got.
Yeah.
But what's your answer?
I don't know. Do I need to buy some like Steve Jobs trousers or something?
No one's asked me that, so I don't know the answer.
No, I've never really thought about it as. I guess you start things with an objective in mind, and sometimes you don't realise you've hit that objective, and so then you need to come up with the next one.
Yeah.
I think the brands are so different, and what we expect from ourselves in them is very different. Goat particularly is something that could be really. But we had this conversation earlier about
Like, speed up, you're boring.
Hurry up, you're boring.
Yeah, you're being boring.
I'm being boring again.
Yeah.
I always think in terms of money. So when there's enough money to stop and not ever have to work again, that's my.
We had that.
Yeah,
So
point.
We had that.
No, we didn't.
Spent it all on
We
drinks.
didn't. I still had to go to work.
No, I didn't.
I want to be able to play computer games all day.
Yeah.
Until
I'll send you around
for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I've not talked about this because this is hot news, but our distribution partners, we went to an event at their facility.
Oh, they're great.
And it's awesome. And they had a games day where all the volunteers that worked there we had computer games, we had old school board games and everything, the whole lot was in. And they had a competition for this driving game, and everybody entered, and it was the fastest lap. And I won. And I found out today, they rang me to say that I'd won, and I need to go in and choose my prize and go on the podium.
Yes. Guess what, there was a podium.
And I didn't realise that was an objective until.
And then you won. Excellent.
I won, yeah. And I want to be able to keep going until my lap time's faster and faster and faster.
So our partners, we chose, they're in Leeds, which is near where we live. This is just for Goat. We're different partners for Myth. And we went with a company who offered the most fun, the best service, and the least errors. And they happen to employ people with neurodiverse and learning abilities. So it's people who wouldn't otherwise work. And everyone gets to do what they excel at. So like there's one guy who can make up boxes like every 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's great.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Could you imagine how fucking good the world would be if that was how it was?
Yeah. You know, like awful team building days you have at work?
Yeah.
It's not like that. You go in there and sometimes they're just having an Elton John afternoon because they want to.
Yeah.
Honestly, they have a hook it up because they want to. And
Yeah.
the work still gets done. And they've got
And
like
it
this
gets done with
so
zero
fast.
failure rate.
Yeah.
So brilliant. And everybody's happy and there's always cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were in
Yeah.
there, someone was singing all the single guys, all the
Yeah,
single, trying to get you to dance with them.
Yeah.
It was, honestly, you have to, if you ever come up here, come with us. Meet me.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Really fantastic place.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And they've been going for 35 years.
Yeah.
And doing just brilliant customer service.
Yeah. And we don't use them because we want to keep on the box or it's the kind of social responsibility or anything. We went in, they're the best. They're just the best.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you don't realise what's available until you see a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. I love
makes us very happy. Always makes us smile.
Yeah.
And we don't put it on our media or our marketing or anything because that's quite exploitative, we think. We just chose them because they're close and they're the best. And there's cake.
Cake. Deal. Sign me up. Yeah, me and John are going to look at a commercial flight at some point to come to you guys. I think there's an airport near, is it Thirsk? Is that the right location?
Yeah.
There is an airport. There's an airport in Bagby, which is like 2 miles away. Yeah, there's a little private jet place there. It's quite frightening actually because you see this looks like an old biplane coming in and it's always windy and it's always raining here. Bring solid rain gear if you come up here. And it comes in like this and over the tractors and frightens the sheep.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get that plane, just saying.
www.goatdrinks.co.uk, code Bedlam10, and I'll be able to afford a private jet. All right, I need some more sales, guys, but we'll set our goals like we just said.
However, private jet is that we went on our honeymoon. We saw a private jet. We stopped over at EasyJet Nice Airport, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And we saw a private jet, and the guy was kind of just dusting it off, and it was like one of those one-day rodders.
One day you're going to have that. Right now, though, we just need route to market. I can tell you that the distribution network in the UK is a sealed unit. What people see in their shops, isn't choice. It's 1 or 2 companies. That's it. And they just pay thousands and thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds to be the only brands on the shelves. And I did not know that until I did this. And it's wrong. And all the marketing that goes between the producer and the customer's endpoint buying it, all of that margin in the middle goes to distribution. And that's just stupid. And I think
what the product is, it's the same process for chocolate or
it should be stupid. So like your town, for example, if there's 50p profit in the cans, then somehow that should stay in the community. That should be what's being used to fund the local football team or it shouldn't go to some big faceless distribution centre. And I don't know how to do that. It's one of those things that I don't know how to do it differently, but I will. I absolutely will.
Yeah, I believe you as well. Yeah. Just on the destabilization and the disruption of stuff like YouTube, where you don't need a middleman, you just put stuff on the internet and hope people watch. I'm going to blow my own trumpet a little bit because I think I've done quite a good job at connecting you guys with people. So we've had Blue Van Man review Horny Goat, which is now Original Goat because shops don't like the word horny apparently. We've got Don't Get Me Started on Twitch, who is Jez and Alex. Sorry, Alex, I nearly forgot your name then, mate. And we've kind of tried our best to integrate you into other podcasts like Brain Stew. I think I told Queenie Zoe to pluck up the courage to ask you for some sponsorship. So I think I'm doing an okay job with that. I just need to sort of.
You're doing a great job, and I don't
know. I'm just quite
geeky stato here, right? So there are 2 postcode areas where we sell the most goat. Right, the first is in your postcode area, and the second is the one nearest the NEC.
Makes sense.
So here with the NEC is obviously because we do so many events there, and people come in that local
Yeah.
area for cycling, running, etc. And the Bournemouth postcode is entirely down to you and your network. So thank you.
And I can tell you, because when I do the uni things, I always get kind of 18 to 20-year-olds saying, I've seen this on YouTube, I've seen this on this, I've seen this on that, and it's always from you.
Hey, that's cool. I didn't know that. And the question off the back of me blowing my own trumpet and making myself look like a bit of a narcissist on my own podcast is, how can people get involved in Goat? How can people become affiliates, or do they just upload reviews of stuff and you'll repost it? Because I know you're all over social media with Instagram and stuff. You always are active on.
Yeah, we need reviews. If you can do a Google review or anything like that, that makes so much difference.
TikTok shop.
We've just set up a TikTok shop. By we, I mean Andy. It was a right ball lake.
Instagram shop.
I think, and I don't know how this works, but I think you can have like resellers on TikTok. So I don't understand all of that yet. But if someone knows how we can bypass this, all the profit going to the distributors, and people can get to keep it in their own communities to do their own thing with, reach out, let me know. I'm genuinely interested. I want to make it different. I see things. Like, there's an old fairy tale, you might not know it, Ben, but it's called The Emperor's New Clothes, and it's basically about this kid who could just see through things, and everyone else was saying how beautiful the emperor's clothes were that this magic tailor had made, but the kid knew he didn't have any clothes on, he was just naked. Well, I am that kid. I can see it always, and I can say it, but I don't know what to do to make this different. But I do know it's wrong. I do know that people should be able to buy things they want to buy, and the producers should get a fair price, and the customers should buy at a fair price.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to make that happen. So just get in touch. I've never done this before. I've never set up a drinks business before. I've never had a marketing thing before. I've never had a shop before. So if someone knows how to do this, tell us.
It's a bit like Uber. You know, that wasn't a thing. Airbnb wasn't a thing. It was something that somebody's seen a different way of operating that works. And then the customers then follow that because it works better for them.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
So to give you an idea of the margins, you know, the wholesalers want 40%, the distributors want 40%, the retailers want 40%. That's a huge amount of margin when you've got a product like ours, which has got natural ingredients, so it's expensive to make. And so what happens is the new producers can't afford to stay in business. The end point customer still pays the same or even more sometimes, but there's no innovation, there's no space for innovation. There's a couple of new products just come to market, and they're all over the place. They're heavily funded. They're Lithuanian. Nothing wrong with that, but that revenue is not staying in the UK. If I can make it work. So in the US at the moment, the energy drink business is worth about 2.3 billion rather. I can't remember now. One or the other. I think it's billion. None of that revenue is in this country. That's not jobs here. That's not community here. So if we can do that, if we can get creators and logistics and production and all of those things, you know, in this product behind this brand, then all of that can stay in our communities and we can build something we want.
The functional energy drink business in the UK is worth 4 billion a year, and hardly any of that is from UK companies.
Yeah. And so it's that bigger picture, like you said to me actually at the beginning.
Yeah.
How do I scan out and see the bigger picture? Well, how do we get sponsorship for our kids' football teams? How do we get decent places to go? How do we get good events? How do we get somewhere for our creators? How do we get somewhere for our musicians or our gamers and things like that, and their own brand? We get it by having that revenue in our economy. You know, stay. And that's how I want it to be, but I don't quite know how to do that. So if someone knows, let me know. I'm listening. Yeah,
cool. I want to give my barber shop a load of goat at some point as well, just because they work so fucking hard. And oh God, you guys have ruined this for me. Every time I go into a shop that's like people standing up for long hours, people working on scaffolding, they have a can of Monster. And I just want to pour it down the fucking drain and just give them a goat and say, look, I appreciate this isn't the same, but just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose. Like Blue Van Man in his video, he went to the gym. I've never seen Blue Van Man at a gym in my life. But he was giving out cans of energy drink to people, and they were saying that they loved it, and they weren't being paid.
Yeah.
You know, Blue Van Man didn't get paid.
And it's about the niche marketing. So places like barber shop, like gyms, because I don't know if people know, but there's no money behind this. There's no, we haven't got backers, we haven't got funders. I spend all my savings making this work. Nobody who is involved in GOAT gets paid. That's why we still work 2 other jobs. But people are wanting something that they can believe in, that they can get behind, that's new, that's different. They genuinely want something different. And this, I believe, is that. And it's all about the community. Like I say, it's not about my ego. It's not about my face. It's not about that. It's about bringing something new to market. The revenue stays here, and everyone benefits. Yeah, everyone benefits.
Yeah, we all rise together. Love it.
Yeah, a high tide rises all ships. We're just working now on doing some powders. We're a while off them yet, but that'll be the next thing that'll be out soon. So they can be mixed with water. They're more, obviously you can take them with you. They can go in and out of lunch boxes, all of those kind of things.
Yeah. On the design of the drinks, I think, like I've mentioned in part 1, you absolutely smashed it. Is there a chance you could do a 500 milliliter?
No, not at the moment.
Okay.
Eventually, that would take funding. So we're not taking any kind of salary from this. Any money that comes in to go, it stays in Go. It goes back into production, back into R&D. And if we had enough people then saying, yeah, absolutely, we want a 500 ml, we'll do it. Yeah. If we get people who say, we want one with a particular, I don't know, like electrolyte or something, or a particular flavour, we'll absolutely do it. But we can't make things now until we can sell them.
Yeah, of course.
There's no money in it. But there was a moment, and also the production would need to be a bit different. So there's quite a lot more cost than you might think.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think a Bedlam honey one would be quite good.
Anything worse than honey.
Yeah. Very gloopy.
Drinking honey, no.
Fair enough.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I love that you thought about it. And that's the thing that sets you apart from other companies is
I did actually give it a moment. I thought, we could maybe.
Yeah. It's actually a really good ingredient to make drinks from.
It is.
To stay stable.
Yeah, and also it's not vegan. The drinks are vegan.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, fair enough.
Please don't eat me. And honey's not but have you not seen the Bee Story, the cartoon? You should watch it. Bee Movie.
I don't think. Oh, Bee Movie. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't go stealing honey. But no,
also
a different mechanism of production and things like that. But I might think of something. I'm sure you'll come up with a flavour.
Yeah.
Wasp.
No, not wasp. We're making a wasp flavour.
I've also seen a Bee Movie on YouTube. Every time they mention the fact that they're bees, the video speeds up by 2 times speed.
Yeah.
That's quite funny.
That's something that appeals to you, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Got to crack on with some more questions because I've got a couple more written down and then we're going to make a move. Speaking of Blue Van Man, he actually asked a question for you guys, which is there any goat flavour that you've tried that just hasn't worked out so far? And is there any flavours that you're not willing to try other than what we've just discussed, which is honey?
Every time we do a new flavour, you get about 16 different iterations of it. So in that flavour, there's been some that haven't worked. The only one that really didn't work was the first round of cherry that didn't work, but that wasn't the flavour, that was the sweetener I used. Can you think of anything we did in goat?
No, everybody's got different preferences, but I don't think there's been anything that's not really worked, because I guess we've looked at flavours that we would like and also where customers have said, oh, we really like mango or we really like cherry. There's different ways of trying them. Some are sweeter, some are more bitter, the more natural the flavouring, the more intense they are. So like when you taste a real mango, some of them are quite peppery. so you've got to kind of get that right. But yeah, I think.
And I'll be honest, after 16 flavour tries, you do go a bit flavour blind as well. You're like, I don't know what that tastes like.
Yeah, and you eat so many bloody crackers, plain crackers between them and water that you think.
Yeah.
And
also when you make it in big, so it's like when you get a tester paint of pop from the shop and try it on the wall, then you paint the whole room and it looks different. It's a bit like that. You do the sampling and it tastes one way, and then by the time it's canned and carbonated and made in volume and that, you're like, that didn't taste like that. So it's a difficult thing, but there hasn't been a flavour that we've had that hasn't worked as a flavour, and I don't necessarily think there's something we wouldn't try except coffee and chocolate, because they're really hard to get right.
There are some flavours that don't tend to work very well when they're mass produced, so things like raspberry.
Yeah, it's very expensive as well, and it's hard to get hold of because we only use natural flavours.
Yeah.
But that's more logistics than taste, you know.
That being said, Dave Blue Van Man, info@godrinks.co.uk if you can think of anything. Drop them an email and they'll consider it.
Probably not mustard, just saying.
Yeah. I'll let them know. No roast dinner, Dave. Sorry.
No roast dinner.
There we go. Dubai. Sometimes I message you in the group chat and you say, I'm off to Dubai tomorrow, so I'll pick this up when I get back. Is that a business thing? Is that a pleasure thing?
We don't have holidays. We haven't got time.
Yeah.
It's always business.
Yeah.
What's that like?
In business. So part of my business, we set an office up last year in Dubai, and we do some work out there, and we're looking to grow that. So we also, with Myth, have done a number of trade shows out there, one called Gulf Food, which is the biggest food trade show in the world. We've done that twice as part of the UK government delegation. And we've also served drinks at the embassy over there. So we recently did drinks for the King's coronation, which was a massive, for me, that was like one of those amazing moments.
Yeah. And Joe Malone was there, and I love Joe Malone, the one with the perfume and the candles. Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it was amazing.
And it was 35 degrees and he had fish and chips outside.
It was really
too hot to eat.
And then you were out in Saudi, weren't you? At Riyadh doing drinks. But we are looking to do more in that region, both kind of with the drinks and with Andy's other business.
Yeah. Well, one thing to note over there, there's a new tax regime just been brought out. So there's 100% tax on energy drinks, 50% tax on carbonated, and 50% tax on anything that's got sugar or sweetener in. So it's astonishingly expensive to sell into those regions without a big push behind you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interest, particularly for things like the easy.
What's Dubai like in terms of compared to the UK? I thought obviously the only thing I can compare it to, because that's where I live. What's it like? Because I remember watching Top Gear and they went out to Dubai thinking that everyone would be poor and it would be a third world country, and it is literally the complete opposite. It's like the top 1% go out there and have a great time. What's it actually like?
So I got.
Remember, we only go to work. So.
I got to say that. First one is there was a radio program on Radio 4 this weekend, and it was about Dubai, and they asked that question to a whole load of experts who were out there, and it's worth a listen. From my perspective,
again,
I was expecting a bit of Vegas. I was expecting it to be a bit chav, if I'm really honest.
Yeah.
I was blown away by how beautiful it is.
Beautiful.
It is the most stunning place. It's got the most beautiful architecture. It's just welcoming. It's safe. It is a stunning place.
As a woman, I feel entirely and completely safe all the time when I'm in Dubai, and I never feel that in the UK. So I wasn't expecting to. And interestingly, I didn't know I didn't feel safe here until I realised I felt safe there. respect. There's it's very wealthy, but it's not ostentatious particularly.
It's, I mean,
It's just beautiful.
yeah.
Everything is beautiful.
It's not overly expensive. I mean, it's quite expensive to get there, but once you're there, it's reasonable. It's fair. You don't get mugged off for a cup of coffee.
It's very sociable as well. Everyone eats out, so there's always people out. It's not like desolate. The weather's great. It's clean. I'm a real clean freak. It's really clean. Everything's very ordered, and I like order. But mostly it's just respectful.
And it works. It's got the kind of efficiency and functionality of Switzerland and Germany and Austria, but a very different feel. And I mean, I've never seen buildings like it. You know,
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we would live there. If our girls weren't at school here at the moment, we would probably live there, I think.
Yeah.
It's just stunning. And the other thing is actually it's quite a nice expat community because everyone's sort of there for the same reason. Everyone's there for work and for family. There's lots of, like golf at the weekends and big barbecues and it's just lovely.
I mean, 91% of the people that live in Dubai have chosen to live there. And that's quite a different thing. So most countries have got a legacy of generations and what that brings and what hardship that's had on those countries. People have chosen to be there. They've chosen to build it how they want.
Yeah.
The rulers of the country have developed it in a way that shows off the best of what they've got. And it only seems to be limited by imagination, not by money.
What's that crazy sort of man-made thing that they put in the water where it just looks like... Yeah. So have you seen that in person?
But what you don't realise when you see the pictures, I mean, when you fly in and you fly over it, it looks amazing. But when you're closer to it from one of the kind of viewing platforms, each frond of the palm is a set of housing. They've got beaches on both sides. They've changed waves, so everybody has waves coming towards their house.
They've changed the waves.
Yeah. Nothing is impossible.
And then they're doing new developments now that look like the moon and other ones that look like European cities. So there's like a Venice zone and a Paris zone. And
it's just so beautiful. We will eventually live there, won't we?
Yeah.
Please. It doesn't rain so much there normally.
But then, they built it without storm drains because there's never any rain. And now they're trying to create more greenery and they're cloud seeding and they're making it rain and there's nowhere for the rain to go.
Yeah. There we go. Love it. Right.
One of the cats tried to get out of the
I was just going to say, we've got about 6 minutes left on this one, but I'm going to set up another one just for 20 minutes. That'll give you some time to open the door for your cat. Because I've got a couple more questions. I don't think we're going to be able to get through them in 6 minutes. So I'll set up another meeting and I'll thank the people for listening and bearing with us. We'll just do another 20 because I just want to make sure that this is a fully fledged, formed episode and I don't want it to feel rushed.
Dorset, England's gateway to the sea. Legends tell of how travellers and wayfarers would navigate vast oceans to meet the natural beauty of the Jurassic coastline. As the centuries have passed, only their song remains. Absolute Bedlam are proud to be sponsored by Shanty Spirit, the taste of the Jurassic Coast.
And we're back again. Don't usually do a third parter, but I don't know when I'm going to be able to speak to you on Zoom again because you guys are flat out and I'm quite busy and clearly not as busy as you guys as we've discussed, but time and all that.
Yeah, we'll do a Dubai edition.
Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. Plans for the future. You mentioned goat powder. Any other things that we need to know about that are coming soon?
I've got lots of ideas, but nothing concrete, so nothing I can share yet. In fact, you're the first
Fine.
people to talk about the powders, because
Okay.
they're very new, only just developing.
Yeah.
But I've got some big ideas for Go as a brand more than product.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots
Fair
more
enough.
collaboration and web stuff.
Yeah, lots more collaboration, lots more web stuff. We're going to have an outward-facing calendar on the web, so we can host people's events and things, make it kind of a go-to place
Yeah.
to know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Pull shit, really.
And we've got thousands of events between now and the autumn that we're going to.
Yeah, thousands. We've got mud races and Olympic events and just all sorts of things.
Mountains, all sorts. Yeah.
Mountains, one wheels with rugby, just all sorts of things. So it's going to be. We tend not to think about that until it happens. Otherwise, we don't know how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get the one wheeler on actually.
Yeah, but there's
It's,
different ones. There's the Shred the Shires guys, and there's Willers. And then there's an amazing girl called Shan who owns She Swerves. She's proper cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having Go on board with Absolute Bedlam has really opened doors to kind of weird sports that I wouldn't know about before you guys. So it's kind of opened up this, like, We Recover Loudly, like I mentioned earlier, as a podcast I wouldn't have listened to normally. So, yeah, if you've got any ideas for guests, then pass them over and I'll see if I can book them in 6 months, because that's apparently how I roll. So, have you got any questions for me? Anything you want? I'll be as honest as possible.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
What's it like doing a podcast? What's it like that being your business? Because obviously I know my business. What's yours like?
I've actually got a friend in 2 weeks interviewing me as a sort of self-reflection tool. I love this. I love the chat. I love the recording. Everything else is draining and admin heavy, and promoting stuff on Instagram, putting 10 minutes into a post for it to get 4 likes.
Yeah.
You know, just sometimes it makes me question doing this entirely, but every time I have a good chat like I'm having now, I always feel so much better. And I think having conversation is such an underrated thing now, where we're just constantly on our phones and we're constantly disengaged from reality, and we seek escapism and we demand mediocrity from YouTube, where people just have to keep uploading stuff every single day, every single, blah, blah, blah. But I do enjoy it. I'd quite like to make it my full-time job, but there's a lot that goes into this that people don't see. They see 1 hour out of a week or potentially 2 weeks. But I do enjoy doing it. But it's not without its challenges.
The conversation and the connection that's your driver then. You like the kind of the realness of people.
I think I'm a bit similar to you, Colette, that I see things working well together.
Yeah.
And I think that band needs to meet this band and they can play a load of gigs together and go on tour. That company needs to know about that company and then they can meet and do loads of good business together. This Twitch person has mentioned that they're interested in reviewing an energy drink. Go. So I've always been quite good at picking stuff up from several different parts of my life. But yeah, I think that's my strong suit, but I also just genuinely like people. I think some people are quite nice and some people are quite flawed and they seek attention and validation, but everyone that I've had on here up until right now talking has been really, really nice, and they've given me a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's good. So.
Good. And what's your plan for your future? Because obviously I know you work, I know you have a son. How do you see Ben Brand going forward? What do you want?
So I quite like technology. I quite like computers. I quite like people, like I've just mentioned, and fixing things. I think one of my goals is to become an IT consultant and then eventually to become a chief technology officer.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm going to get there, similar to what we were talking about earlier, but I know that I can do it. I know that I can become a CTO at the age of 50 when I'm only 34. But I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that path looks like. But I do like a challenge. I wouldn't do the podcast if I didn't like a challenge. But yeah, that's kind of my end game, I suppose. And just to not
We could do a
worry.
separate one on that if you like.
Because that's his
Yeah.
world. That's what he does. Well, not
That'd be
engineering,
cool.
but
Yeah.
The pathway, at least.
yeah, the pathway, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to set Casper up with a good life. I also want him to work and I want him to struggle. And I know that sounds really strange, but I think a lot of people get handed stuff nowadays. And I've never been handed anything. I've always had to work super, super hard. So yeah, it's a lot. I do enjoy life. I just want to get to a stage in life where I'm buying a weekly shop and not worrying about going into my overdraft.
Yeah.
You know, because life's really fucking hard at the moment. It's
Yeah, it is.
financially quite stressful, you know, not specifically for me, just the general consensus of everyone feels a bit heavy. You see people walking around now and everyone feels a bit like, oh, God,
Yeah.
tax, you know, car insurance.
I meant about people keeping the revenue from the drinks, people keeping
Yeah.
it in communities. It makes no sense that we give so much of it away to big marketing and big retail and big distributors, and none of that stays in our communities. That just makes no sense to me.
We don't seem to have learned anything from the lockdown period where things
No.
have done properly and worked.
Yeah. So, like, you know,
Yeah.
if we ship drinks straight to a local, say, niche retailer, and then they sold them out from there, and they get to keep all of the revenue, all of it. And imagine that if that was for everything. Imagine what our towns would look like and our communities would look like.
Yeah.
Food wouldn't be as expensive. The products wouldn't be as expensive. There'd be choice. I can see it. I just don't know how to help make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's completely possible. It just requires a complete overhaul of a system that
Yeah.
clearly doesn't benefit everyone.
I was just ignoring that system and sidestepping it. With
Yeah.
a few people going, I've got an idea, can we make that work? That's all it needs. But
Yeah.
I don't have all those ideas, you know. I will have eventually. And then people will talk to me and I'll go, yeah, that we can make that work. But nobody can do anything just on themselves. A bit like your
Yeah.
beehive, you know, like the bees.
Yeah.
It needs a hive. It just, we can't make a honey drink, and maybe I won't make a bee flavored drink, and he's not
Yeah.
making a wasp flavored drink. What we're talking about is how we make that hive.
Yeah.
We go, look, you need this and you need that and we need that. So if we do this, we can help you do that, and you get to keep that. And maybe everyone just can be a little bit less heavy,
Yeah.
a little bit less sad.
Yeah.
And that might be
Yeah.
action. To answer your question from earlier, what would it look like when I've done it? Then it will look like that.
I love that. Yeah, powerful stuff. Not really sure how to segue to this because this is mental.
Just ask.
Yeah.
Just say.
Right. So, bins. When you have to take the bins out,
His job
It's tonight.
is to not.
Andy, do you know which bin you need to take out?
Yeah, and where we live, right? There's this. It's a really important thing, right?
He is the
Okay.
influencer.
Right. So
Okay.
the person
Okay,
puts the
yeah.
bins out first, and everybody follows their lead.
Love that.
They're the binfluencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try so hard to be the binfluencer. You know, I know what's on the council website. I know what day, and
in
there's
the diary.
always some bastard who's got there before. Even when I'm working from home and it's the middle of the afternoon, somebody's got out there at 11 o'clock in the morning and put the bin out because they're going away.
It's true. So we live on like a crescent of houses with like a shared garden, and all our bins have to go down. Imagine like you've got a long alleyway at the back, a bit like Coronation Street.
Yeah.
All the bins have to go down the alleyway to the end onto the main road. Yeah. And that is where the binfluencer thing happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every week, Andy goes out there and you look crestfallen every week.
And you can tell Colette doesn't do it because it's every other week.
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. I
No
don't,
idea.
I don't
Fair
know.
enough.
It's a
There
long
we go.
way down.
So yes, I
Yeah.
put the bin out,
You put the
I
bins
know
out,
the
you bring
rules.
them back.
but I don't quite create the movement yet.
No.
We'll get there, Andy. We'll get there.
He is the influencer. I'll get him to take a picture and send it you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And we can all celebrate.
Yeah.
He was 50 last week, by the way. It was his big birthday, so
Yeah.
things get better. Once you get to 50, I think you get grey slacks and you get to put the bins out on time.
Slacks. How old are you?
Slacks.
Older.
Than you. Oh, you're so funny. Because I'm older than that, see?
Yeah.
Don't
When
enthusiastically.
that's all right. When you get a second, we'll have to get a picture of the Goatmobile, which when I saw, I just started laughing because
You're laughing more at the minute because he drove it.
I love it.
And it's damaged, so it's supposed to be going to be rewrapped.
It's being repaired.
When?
Yeah.
When's it being repaired? It's not been repaired for ages. It's like, oh, look at that bus. What bus? Bang.
So on the Goatmobile, whilst we're talking about it, has there ever been a moment, Andy or Colette, where you've taken it to a carriage and thought, I am about to get destroyed by these massive, burly people that might not be academically adept, and they're just going to laugh at the goat on the side of my car that I'm driving?
No. People just love it. I had an old T2 camper van, and every time we went to Cornwall, and everybody beeps the horn, and it's not quite as much as that, but people do love it.
I would say actually it's a sign of true love. So the van is Andy's camper van, right?
Yeah.
It's a Marco Polo Mercedes camper van he bought from
Yeah.
you. And he loves it almost as much as he loves me, and he adores me. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And having it wrapped in goat was a bit of a leap of faith. It'd be like asking him just to sell his dog. His dog's a really fat pug called Mabel, by the way. If anyone wants to buy her. But it'd be like asking him to sell Mabel. But you did it.
Yeah.
And you love it.
Yeah.
That was wrap the car, not sell the dog.
Yeah.
Wrap the dog.
Wrap the dog.
What if you called your dog Wrap?
So if you ever see on our socials, Mabel, we've not made her up.
Yeah.
She is actually our
She's
dog.
real.
She's
Yeah.
real. She's our dog. Yeah.
Fantastic. Based on the door, we had a bit of a conversation before we recorded because your cat was trying to get out.
Yeah. The
Doors
camera-
opening and closing. Superstition. Fate. Anything like that. Paranormal. Spirituality. Do you believe in any of it?
Oh, I've got a house full of it, yeah.
Yeah. We've got a very haunted house.
Yeah.
And our youngest
Okay.
daughter always sees ghosts. So
Yeah.
I remember when we first moved in the room we're in now, there was like this big chandelier, which had this big power car, and as in all good horror films, are fuse boxes in the cellar. It's a really old house, but built in the 1800s. So I sent Andy to the cellar, obviously, because I'm not going down there. He turned off all the electric to the whole house, and the chandelier in this room started pulsing like this with light. So there you go.
And she's shouting, "You've not turned everything off." And I'm like, I have. I've turned all the switches off. The main power's off.
I say, come
I'm
up
here
here
with
and
the
have a look at
torch.
this. Yeah, and he came up, and then we found out a previous owner died in this room packing to leave after she'd sold the house.
Wow.
We had in the days when we had enough money for a cleaner, we had a cleaner come in, didn't we? And
Yeah.
she left within.
About 3 weeks because she saw a ghost, just left crying one day. Luckily, we
Jesus.
can't afford a cleaner now because we put all our money into drinks. So they've stopped leaving crying.
We haven't got time to make a mess either, so
But I'm hoping
Yeah,
the ghosts.
I did.
I'm hoping the ghosts are going to start paying rent soon.
Yeah.
That's help.
I can't even say ghost. I say goat instead. Subliminal messages.
So yeah, we absolutely have all of that going on in this house all the time.
Okay.
If things move, we hear children crying in the middle of the night when our kids aren't here.
Singing, a lot of singing.
A lot of singing, yeah. So it's a big old house on 4 floors, and wherever you are, there's something somewhere else making a noise.
Yeah, Carol Ann normally.
You won't know what that is. He's younger than us.
Poltergeist. Watch Poltergeist.
Don't watch
Poltergeist. Is that the one with the tree? Where the
Yeah.
tree comes to life?
Yeah. No.
No.
No? Okay.
Poltergeist, they get this little blonde girl, and she's looking at the TV, and she goes, "They're here." And our youngest daughter is just like that. She looks like that.
Yeah.
She's blonde, pale. And our other daughter looks like the front of the cover of the film Orphan, just so you know.
Yeah.
They turn up in the middle of the night, and you're like, "Go, tiny Satan."
I think we need to create, if there's any movie producers out there that are doing a horror film and they want a bit of product placement, bit of goat energy.
Yeah.
Or
There we go.
it's already got the ghosts in it, just
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, there we go. info@goatdrinks.co.uk. Awesome. So we've got one last question and I'm going to leave you to it because I've already had an hour and a half of your time and I do genuinely appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
We've
been grateful.
love chatting to you.
It's all
I
good.
like
No worries.
feel rather than just on WhatsApp.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit black and white WhatsApp, innit?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. 1 hour left on Earth. Where you going, what you doing, you can teleport. You can do anything you want for that last hour.
No, anywhere he is, probably on a beach.
No.
Maybe Morocco. Should we go to Morocco?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll go to Morocco, sit on the beach, watch the camels.
Yeah, with a
Yeah.
cheeseburger.
Are you having a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, no salad.
No salad. I don't think I'd want anything. I'd just be wherever you are.
Mm.
What about you? Where would you go? What would you do?
Drinking goat energy, baby. Hell yeah. I'd probably want to be with my family. There would be a seldom moment where you kind of just have to accept. It's kind of like if you've watched Deep Impact,
Yeah, I've still watched
where
it.
you know the meteor's coming and there's kind of not really a lot you can do about it.
Films. I love disaster films. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not working.
Yeah. If I'm ever really, really stressed, like properly stressed, I'll put some kind of like disaster film on and just lock myself in the playroom, and that's it. And I'll come out an hour and a half later and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. If it works, it works.
It works.
Yeah, I'd probably just want to chill. I'm right next to a beach, so I think the beach is the great.
Yeah. His house.
Yeah, we'll go tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow. If we do that, if we decided that to be
Yeah,
we would. We'd just go. We'd just knock on your door. Go, all right?
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's been.
We know where you work.
Yeah, you got my address.
I'm not
GDPR.
Ignore him.
It was a friendly self-invite.
It wasn't. It was weird, weirdo.
No.
So we've got GDPR, which is Goat Drink Protective Retail. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Have you seen this man? Is he at your window?
Yeah. I'll keep firing ideas off to you guys. You're more than welcome to say no, like you have done with the honey. Yeah, it's a good relationship that we've got, and I hope that I can influence you guys going forwards and continue to spread the good word of the goat. As you've seen, it's not cosmetic, it's an addiction at this point. It's a problem, but it's a problem I'm happy to have, and it's not negatively impacting me. It's just a nice drink, and everyone can go get their own at goatdrinks.co.uk, and they can use the code Bedlam10.
Yeah. Do speak to him about your CTO as well, okay?
Yeah, we'll do.
Make that part.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Cool. Right, I'm going to leave you to it.
It's been lovely to spend the evening with you.
So good. You too. I'll speak to you soon, guys.
Tomorrow.
Thanks for listening, watching, viewing, and subscribing, and see you in the next one. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Absolute Bedlam.
Hey guys, it's John here from Absolute Bedlam.
Bedlam.
We just wanted to take a moment to introduce you to our brand new Patreon. If you head over to Patreon now, you can get access to behind the scenes footage, ad-free content and episodes. You can even send your own requests in terms of the content you would like to see us create. All of this is available to you and more. We've got free options available to you as a patron with us. If you just want to support what we do and help build the Absolute Bedlam experience, a small fee of £1 a month, you can do just that. If you want to get access to that ad-free content, those ad-free episodes, for £5 a month, you can join the Hive. And if you want all of that and more behind the scenes footage, commission works with us, live Q&A sessions, for £10 a month, all of the madness, all of the chaos of Absolute Bedlam will be yours. So head over to Patreon now, become a patron, and join the Hive.
Absolute Bedlam. Bedlam podcast. Who? What? Where? Why?